And this Hangout on Air is live now. Hello, kids. It's time for roll call at the top of the hour. We've got a lively but smaller than usual audience. We've got Steve and Dan and Lindsay, Dorothy, Sybil to shake things up, Rose, Richard, and Steve's in there twice because he just likes it that much. Let's see. Kevin said he was going to be late today. He did send in an excuse. All right, let's make sure you guys can hear me on playback. All right, Alpha Geek Radio says we are live. Hello to the Alpha Geek Radio audience. Here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com. And let me get a confirmation from you that you guys can hear playback okay. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast.
Yep, we have playback.
All right. I like independent confirmation. Not that I don't trust you, Steve.
It's always good.
It's Dan, could you hear that in the live in the app? We're drinking a nice Ballast Point Longfin today. But I'm drinking out of a Fathom glass. Is that allowable, Lindsay? Linda's here. Yay! We can start. New York, Linda. All right, you're going to hear me talk about the show, but you guys, there will not be a live show for 3 weeks. Now, there's nothing to keep you guys from being in the live chat room at 5 o'clock on Sunday night if you want to, but I won't be here. We're going to be going out of town, and you'll hear the details of that. But I want to make sure you guys know, no live show till, when did I say it's going to be? May 8th will be the next one. All right. All right, I am going to go. Steve, yes. Lindsay, again, how she's doing. That's good. All right, let's go ahead and start. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Macintosh bias. Today is Sunday, April 10th, 2016, and this is show number 570. Well, as you can see, my voice is at what I think it's about 82.6% back. At least I can hit the high notes a little bit rougher than usual, but the show must go on. Well, Steve and I are gearing up to go to NAB in Las Vegas next week. That's the National Association of Broadcasters. A lot of it is way overkill for what we do, but it's really fun to see these crazy cool cameras and audio equipment that we'll never be able to afford. We had a great time last year, and we'll come back with a few interviews if we find some interesting stuff that maybe is within reach. After that, we're headed to Hawaii for some snorkeling with turtles. Now, that means that you're going to be treated to 2 guest-hosted shows. And it's kind of wrong to call them guests. They're really more like family by now. Bart Busschots will be hosting the show for the weekend of the 24th of April, and Alistair Jenks will be back to host the weekend of May 1st. They are doing me a huge favor by hosting the show, and the live show is just too much to ask of them. So I will also not be here this coming Sunday, so the show will come out early, which means that for 3 weeks, there will be no live show. So be ready for that, no live show. And the dates that Alistair and Bart come out with it will be close to Sunday, but it might be early, it might be late, probably more likely to be early. Now, the main reason I want to warn you, no live show for 3 weeks, is I do not want to hear that anyone was sadly sitting there wondering where the party went. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming on May 8th. Now, like I told the live audience that is here today, there's no reason you guys can't go into the live chat room at 5 o'clock on Sunday night Pacific, 5 o'clock Pacific time, but just want you to know that I won't be there. Well, this week's Chit Chat Across the Pond was a difficult one for me. There's been a lot of consternation on the internet this week about the announcements by Smile with their new TextExpander 6 product at textexpander.com. This week, they announced that they were going to switch to a subscription model. The price is going up almost 2 to 1. You're not going to be able to store your snippets on Dropbox or iCloud, and your snippets will not be encrypted. I invited Smile founder Greg Scown onto the show to explain their thinking and to allow me to ask him some tough questions. If you care about TextExpander, you might want to go catch episode number 433 of Chit Chat Across the Pond. All right, John is here. Wow, it got packed while I was talking. Gusted in Oklahoma.
And Mark.
Hi, George. Oh, Mark's here? All right. Let me check that intro. Make sure that looks right to me. Yeah, it's a little bit late. By the way, Steve, Yeah, mostly back, John. Mostly back. I wouldn't call it full steam ahead yet, but you can at least tell what I'm saying. Steve, I did mean to tell you, I experimented with two other tools to record the live show, neither of which worked. I actually got the idea that I could do it in ScreenFlow, but it didn't work. It's a video editor, but it's got a really good audio editor. I thought it would work, but it didn't. The other thing I did was I went ahead and tried doing it in Audacity, of all things, that I've used before, and it does almost everything. And I don't know, it might not be the dumbest idea to switch to that if I can't get things to work any better in Amadeus Pro. But I know you keep saying, why do you use that tool? So save as. Yeah, I'm really excited, Mark. Oh, Dan, you got snow? I came back from the from my walk today, and I was boiling. It was so hot out. It had to be in the 70s, didn't it, Steve? Let's see.
It got up to about 68.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Wow. Excuse me. I could use my cough button so you guys don't have to listen to that. All right, let's start here. Oh, I need to bring up a different episode. Okay, you guys are going to need to look at the picture while I explain this. I'm going to put a link to this. It's 80 in New York. Wow. So follow along with that that visual aid if you want to try to figure out what I did here. All right. So I'm not sure you noticed on last week, but the audio was just a little bit different in the show. I started losing my voice on Friday, and by Sunday, I could barely squeak out a sentence. I get laryngitis periodically, pretty much ever since I was a little girl. I'm not really sure why it happens. Seems to be maybe more allergies than a sickness, because I felt fine. Anyway, since I've been doing the show nonstop for over a decade, I know I couldn't not have the show, right? Luckily, I had pre-recorded bits for the majority of the show, but how was I to make sure that the non-recorded bits were at least listenable? And remember that not only do I do the recorded show for the audio listeners, but there's also the live show that's broadcast on YouTube as a Hangout on Air, and from there broadcast in audio and video to Alpha Geek Media. And the audio is also piped to the NosillaCast app. It's a pretty complicated setup on how all this works, and now I had no voice to make things that much harder. Well, I started with the built-in text-to-speech capabilities of OS X. If you haven't messed around with it, it's really quite extraordinary. You can simply select a section of text in any application on your Mac, and in the menu of the application, choose Edit, Speech, Start Speaking. In System Prefs, you can also add a keystroke to invoke it, and you can add higher quality voices, one of which just coincidentally happened to be called Allison. That wasn't actually the hard part, though. That was easy. It was figuring out how to get the text-to-speech version of Allison to be heard by all these different audiences. In addition to the built-in text-to-speech capability of OS X, I used Rogue Amoeba's Audio Hijack to hijack some of the audio pieces, and a new product also from Rogue Amoeba called Loopback. I thought it might be fun to walk you through how all of these pieces work together to make the show a success in the end. But first, the problem or problems to be solved. When I do the live show, there are three ways people will consume what I'm creating, both live and recorded. There's the Google Hangout on Air, which is audio and video. Some people listen on Alpha Geek Radio or the iOS NosillaCast app, and those two things go together. And finally, the audio needs to be recorded into my recording software, Amadeus Pro. So all those three things have to happen at the same time during the live show. So that sounds easy, right? Well, I've been doing all of these things for quite a while now, but the tricky bit was getting that text-to-speech Allison into the mix. Loopback from Rogue Amoeba was designed to allow us to create virtual audio sources. Applications like Amadeus Pro or GarageBand or even a Hangout on Air require an audio input, right? Under normal circumstances, you just simply select your microphone. But text-to-speech Allison isn't a microphone. She's coming from the Mac's system audio. The system audio can come out of the speakers, or it can come out of headphones, or it can be assigned to a virtual source in Loopback. In Loopback, I created a source named, quite imaginatively, System Audio. Then on the Mac, in the sound preferences, I set the output from the Mac. Instead of going to my headphones or somewhere else, I set the system audio or the audio from the Mac to go to this newly created source, System Audio. That means that anything that uses System Audio as an input will be able to hear any sounds generated by the Mac's operating system. In fact, as we found out during the show, it also means everyone could hear my text expander snippets expanding until I realized it was coming through and I turned them off. Okay, so all system sounds will come out of the virtual system audio source. Over on Amadeus Pro, instead of selecting my mic as the input, I could select system audio, and when the other Allison talks, Amadeus Pro would be able to hear her. Even though this works, it only fulfills one requirement. Amadeus Pro can hear her, but it can't hear the real Allison. And in addition, I can't hear that other Allison, and neither can the live audience in any of the locations. We need to create another virtual source in Loopback. Rogue Amoeba suggests one called simply Pass-Through. This is very similar to the one I created for System Audio. This is where Audio Hijack comes into play, though. Audio Hijack allows you to pipe multiple audio input sources together and send them to multiple audio outputs. In Audio Hijack, I use the little building bricks to create input sources for my mic and system audio, and I combine them together and pipe the two of them into the output device we created called Pass-Through. Now, the Pass-Through virtual device will include both my voice and any system audio, including Fake Allison. Got that? So we got my mic, Fake Allison going into Pass-Through. Over on Amadeus Pro, I can change the input to Pass-Through, and now Amadeus Pro can hear me and Fake Allison. All right, you still with me? We're halfway through. Next up, let's tackle the Hangout on Air. Inside the Hangout on Air, I have to set up my input source so that Steve, who is really the only participant in the Hangout, and the viewers of the Hangout will be able to hear everything. We want people watching to hear me and Fake Allison, but I can't just use Pass-Through because they also want to hear any playback I do on Amadeus Pro. Back over to Loopback, I created another virtual device that I call Hangout on Air Input, or HOA Input. This time I did something more than just making it a pass-through device, though. In Loopback, you can define software sources to go into the new virtual device. I put Amadeus Pro and Audio Hijack as the inputs to the Hangout on Air input device. So now the Hangout on Air viewers can hear me, Fake Allison, and playback of Amadeus Pro. All right, 2 down, 1 to go. This one builds on the same basic idea. The audio-only listeners and Alpha Geek Radio and the NosillaCast app, they need to hear everything the Hangout on Air people hear, but they have one disadvantage. They can't hear Steve if he talks. To be fair, he's pretty quiet, but from time to time he likes to chime in, and without one more piece, only the Hangout on Air people would be able to hear him. Back to Loopback. I created one last virtual device, and I called it Nicecast Input. So Nicecast is what I use to pipe over to those people on Alpha Geek Radio and the NosillaCast app. Like the Hangout on Air input, I piped Amadeus Pro and Audio Hijack, but I added Chrome so they would hear what I hear, which is Steve. All right. I have to confess that even though I took a couple of screenshots during the live show, because I knew I'd never remember what I did, it still took me a couple of hours to reconstruct this whole thing I've just described. I even enlisted my good friend Pat to listen to me try and explain it because even I got kind of tangled up. I made a really pretty graphic of the whole thing using Omnigraphel that I hope you'll take a look at, if only to appreciate how hard this was to do. I made the diagram also because I knew I'd never figure this out again the next time I have laryngitis. Oh man, that was too long to talk.
Was that a natural break in the recording?
Oh man, I barely made it to the end.
Oh, so you did make it.
Yeah, I made it to the end of that piece.
Good job, that was feet.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, good. Loopback is accessible too. Good to know, Dan. I would expect nothing less from Rogue Amoeba. It's good to know. All right, next up, I think I get to play a recording now, don't I? I better cue that up. Let's see. What is my next thing? Preview. Nope, I don't want that one. I want that one. I want this one. This one. Be very, very quiet. Not you, Steve. Uh-oh. Steve's got a cat. Wait, you got to make... Why aren't you getting big? Oh, no, put her back up. I just made you big on screen.
Well, she's already a little
She's gone.
She wanted more screen time.
All right, you're fired. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Oh, one last thing on Loopback. Dan in the live chat room just let me know that Loopback is also completely accessible to the blind. Rogue Amoeba's really good about that stuff. Well, let's hear next. We're going to hear an interview from the CSUN Persons with Disabilities Expo. Okay, did that just happened? The heck? No, that worked. Okay. It just looked weird. Let me listen to that transition. Titus. Oh, one last thing on Loopback. My volume is really high now. Go figure. Let's see. I need to make another track. Sorry about the coughing. This is with cough syrup. Interviews. Wish you guys could see my screen. One of these days we'll get that figured out.
John wants to know where you got your 1Password shirt.
Oh,
let me 1Password, I think.
Yeah, it must have been at Macworld. I was thinking about that. Oh man, Tessa. Oh, jeez. Oh, sorry, but that was nasty.
Hot dog.
Oh, yeah, I need a fan or something. I'm telling you.
You want me to pull her out?
Oh, geez, Tessa. This is like there's no oxygen left in the room. Sorry. Triflonase. Really? You know, you're the third person to tell me to try Flonase. Yeah, that was nasty old hot dogs. Okay, let's just listen to a little bit of this. Let's see. You know, sometimes this app just doesn't play. Okay. Abilities Expo. Let's see. It's a little short, I think. Oh, let's hear next. We're going to hear an interview from the CSUN Persons with Disabilities Expo.
I'm with Mark Ham from Clear Captions, and you've got a telephone.
We have a caption telephone for those that have some hearing loss. And it's senior citizens a lot, and then we do have a lot of younger people that are coming across here, but it's a landline phone for those with hearing loss.
So you need to be able to hear some to be able to think that a telephone call is a good idea at all. And then what happens?
Yes, the hearing part, so the captions will appear on the screen. So the idea is to listen the best that you can over the telephone, and then when you do miss...
All right, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but this thing is crazy. They have humans doing the live captioning. So there's a person who's listening to your phone call and typing it at the same time. Isn't that crazy?
Did they ever kind of reinterpret what you're saying? Maybe
I don't know.
Fix errors.
The interview. They'd have to, right? All right. I'm getting telegrams. Jamal, he's supposed to be in the live chat room. Hey, ping Jamal and tell him, ask him why he's not in the chat room. When I suggest you use text-to-speech, I thought you just record your comments. Yeah, no, that was pretty cool, wasn't it, George? All right. Let me start recording here. As a listener to tech podcasts, I'm sure you're always... Actually, no, I don't like to not say anything. Seems like I should say something after an interview, doesn't it? Can't just, ignore it. I'm still amazed that people can listen to somebody talk, type at the same time. That really does take a special talent. As a listener to tech podcasts, I'm sure you're always asked questions like, should I get the small, medium, or large iPad? Should I get... Okay, can't mispronounce iPad. All right, here we go. I still can't believe there's people who can type and listen at the same time like that. That is crazy. Those people must have two channels in their brain, unlike most of us. As a listener to tech podcasts, I'm sure you're always asked questions like, should I get the small, medium, or large iPad? Should I get a MacBook Pro, or a MacBook Air? Or should I get an iPad or a MacBook? So often the question is whether we need the big one or the small one. I've decided the answer to all of these questions is yes, you should buy them all. Now, I've been accused of being an Apple shareholder when I say this, but listen to my reasoning. In January of 2010, Steve Jobs introduced the first iPad. Before he did the big reveal, he asked, is there room for a third category of device in the middle, something in between a laptop and a smartphone? He said to succeed, that category of device would have to be far better at some key things. The iPad definitely did do key things for me that I couldn't do with my other devices. My iPad Air 1 was getting a little long in the tooth when the 12.9-inch iPad Pro came out. What key thing could it do that the 9.7-inch could not? For me, that key thing is watching video. I love to watch video podcasts during my morning rituals. You know that a bigger TV is always a better TV, right? If you have a 42-inch TV, you really wish it was 50. If you have 50, you're jealous of those with 55. The 12.9-inch iPad Pro is the best video playback iPad out there. The 9.7 can do the job, but 12.9 is better, right? I also wasn't expecting the speakers on it to be so good. We used to watch video podcasts on the air and always had to fight Bluetooth to connect it up to the Jambox so we could hear things loud enough. With the new iPad, the speakers are much louder and the sound quality is very good, so we haven't used the Jambox once to play video podcasts since we got it. And you know what? Just not fighting with Bluetooth is also a key feature for me. I quickly became accustomed to doodling around on it in the early morning, responding to emails and reading Twitter and Google Plus and Facebook to start my day. The pencil is the key feature that makes this work. The pencil, along with my script stylus as the keyboard, allows me to write witty responses on social media while lounging in the bed with a cat or two. But then, Apple came out with a 9.7-inch iPad Pro. I wondered whether there was room between the 12.9-inch iPad Pro and my iPhone. Were there key features that it had that it did better than the others? I have to say that its key feature is that it's easier to carry around. The big girl iPad Pro isn't really heavy, but it's like carrying a full-size clipboard around. You know, it really is giant. But the 9.7-inch slips nicely into my gym bag, and it's easy to carry by hand, along with my purse. My indecision on whether to get the 9.7-inch iPad Pro was taken out of my hands when Steve bought me one for my birthday. He's cool that way. I have to say, having the Apple Pencil working on the smaller iPad Pro is pretty darn cool. And finally having Touch ID on all my devices is awesome. The best camera I have, other than my big girl Olympus, is the one on the 9.7-inch iPad Pro. I now have live photos and higher resolution photos. Kind of makes me look down on my iPhone 6 camera with disdain. After about a week of owning both iPad Pros, I have to say I still reach for the big girl iPad Pro first, but when I leave the house, it's the 9.7-inch all the way. So they both have a place in my life because they both have key features. I can have the same conversation about the MacBook versus the MacBook Pro. I always believed that I needed the top-of-the-line MacBook Pro because I'm mobile, I take a gazillion photos, and I need a hot rod recording studio, right? Well, that's all true. But when I got the MacBook, I found that the diminutive size made it a delight to tote around the house and take on travel with me. I haven't bought enough dongles to test it out as my recording platform yet, but the processor might not be up to snuff on this first version of the MacBook. But then again, I successfully ran the live video show on a 2013 13-inch MacBook Pro one time. When I want desk time with a big monitor, the 15-inch MacBook Pro wins every time. But it's very rare now that I ever unplug it from the desk. So, it almost could be an iMac. The key feature of the MacBook Pro is power. And the key feature of the MacBook is it's light and thin. They're both compelling enough for each to have a significant place in my daily life. So when people ask you, should I get the big one or the small one? Maybe the answer is simply yes. I was kind of stumbly at the end. Yeah, Richard, it might be. She should visit Dongles R Us. Nice, John. If anybody's looking for a 12.9-inch iPad Pro, by the way, Pat Dengler is selling hers. So it was too big for her. I love it though. I wouldn't sell mine. You couldn't pry it out of my hands. But if you're looking for one, she's selling hers, and contact me. She's amazing. When she has something to sell, it's always top notch. Not it's like brand new. It'll be in the box and everything.
And that includes a keyboard and a pencil?
Keyboard, but no pencil. Okay. She's keeping the pencil because she got the 9.7-inch.
That's right.
And it's got AppleCare on it too. So I think she was selling it for like $150 off of the original price. Let me see how this transition took. I still can't believe there's people who can type and listen at the same time like that. That is. Oh, you have an iPad Air 2. That sucks, John. That's hard to justify over an iPad Air 2 because I didn't have Touch ID, and I almost bought the iPad Air 2 just for Touch ID. Let's see. Email me with the price. Yeah, Linda, this is going to be pretty expensive. This is I can look up when we're done. I'll look up the price, but that's not going to be in the order of the price we were talking about for the iPad Air. This is a brand new device, so I think it was going to be over $1,000 when it was all said and done.
I can look that up if you want.
Yeah, she's got on Facebook, right?
Yeah. I'll email you, Linda.
Okay. You can put the specs in the show notes if you want. I mean, the show notes in the chat.
Sure, I will do that.
Okay, now back to this. And next we want, okay, touch graphics, tactical design. This one's pretty long, but it's really interesting. Okay. Oh, I just need to pull it up there. All right, let me just intro it. All right, we've got another interview from CSUN, and this one is about touch graphics, tactile design for universal access. This stuff is really cool, and the people we interviewed were super fun. That girl was so pretty, too. She was fun to look at. Is that rude? She was cute.
Oh, I don't think that was rude.
I'm sure Rose doesn't mind. Let's see. Boom. Simply, yes. All right, we've got another. Okay, so now, but you've got my volume up so high now. I'm not having to tone down the interviews. May have to retire the NBA hinges wearing out in the plastic crack. Wow. Maybe it could be a desktop. Yeah, that's right. You've got the MacBook Air I was talking about, huh? Slide this over. People we interviewed were super fun. Good point, Linda. Everybody likes to look at pretty people. Interviewed were super fun.
I'm with the Touch Graphics folks here. I've got Steve Landau and Lindsay Yazzolino, and everybody I had lunch with said we ought to come over and see what Touch Graphics is doing. So,
all right. Well, I'm going to be done early today because I am almost done here. All right. Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Do not forget to send in your dumb questions, comments, and suggestions. In fact, send in reviews for Bart and for Alistair. You can send them to me. You can send them to Bart, whoever's address you know to Alistair, and we'll make sure the right people get them. But do some reviews for these guys because it's a lot of work to put the show together, and it really helps them if you can do a review. But anyway, if you want to send them directly to me, you can send them to Allison at podfeet.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at podfeet. Check out our NosillaCast Google Plus community over at podfeet.com/Google+, or join our Facebook group over at podfeet.com/Facebook. If you want to join in the fun of the live show, you will have to wait until May 8th to join the friendly and enthusiastic Nosilla Castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed.
Wow, that was a short show. How long is it?
25 minutes.
25?
Yeah, I don't want to hear any crap for it.
The whole show.
Yep.
Is that like a record short show?
It might be.
The first or second?
But the idea was that I was supposed to be allowed to do this, right?
Yes. Okay.
That's why I separated the shows.
All right.
But the problem is they've all been it's just been getting longer and longer. I had to up my fees. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys to give me money and stuff. Oh, well. Next time. Let's hear the end here. Ah, come on. Who does that? Hey, subscribe. Wait. God, my voice sounds horrible. Nosilla Castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Oh, thanks for putting the whole thing in there, Steve. Oh, yeah, it had the silicone case. We should buy the case offer. I did a user group this week, and the guy had the white silicone case on the back of his iPad Pro. It's pretty. Gotta tell you.
As long as it stays white.
Yeah, but it's like the watch band, you know? The watch bands stay white. You can wash them with soft scrub. You don't think so, huh? You aren't buying it?
You actually put your hand on a case a lot more than the wristband.
Yeah, but I've gotten like mud in my wristband when I was digging up the yard and everything.
Yeah, just hose it off. You can't do that with the case on your iPad.
Well, I suppose, but you take it off and you could rub it down, right?
Who's going to do that?
I get to spend the next week on the north coast of Alaska. North coast? That sounds scary. They had time to make a humorous post. Sorry, Sybil, hurry. I'll keep talking. All right, and that's going to be an AIFF. I'll keep you guys on while I do the production of the show. How do you get mud in California without water? It rained this week. I learned how to use my windshield wipers. I'm not kidding. I was like, I'd had them on for quite a while before I realized there was an intermittent thing where you could just push it and it would just do it once. 0 degrees F and windy.
That's just really sad, Allison.
That I didn't know how?
Yeah, to use your windshield wipers.
Well, when would it have come up? When would it have come up, right?
It does rain once in a while.
Yeah, but I don't drive. I don't drive. I am putting 4,000 miles a year on my car. And I would say, Steve, you're driving at least 60% of that, wouldn't you?
Probably, yeah. Probably.
So when we go anywhere, sometimes I sit in the car. Oh, I remember this was really funny a while ago. This hasn't happened recently, but let's see, wait a minute, export process files. I was driving my car and it ran out of gas and I thought, oh, I'll put gas, got low and I thought I'll go put gas in the car. I thought, what side's the gas cap on? And that is how infrequently I drive my car. I go, 4 or 5 weeks without filling it with gas?
Maybe it's time for that little known trivia fact.
What's that?
That most cars, at least in the US, have a little arrow. When you look at the gas gauge, there's a little gas pump icon, and there's a little arrow that points left or right. I never knew this until about a couple of years ago, that if it points left, the gas cap's on the left. If it points right, gas cap's on the right.
So that little tiny
icon
symbol
on the gas fuel gauge on your dashboard.
Wow. Did you guys know that?
Someone told me that all these years.
Oh, there, John just said, look at your gas gauge. It should have an arrow. Wait, Steve, you muted also.
Good one, John. Yep, you are correct.
Yeah, I think technically you might have been ahead of us. My 98 Accord didn't have the arrow. Oh, really? I just heard a story about some guys who stole a car and then they went joyriding and then they abandoned the car at a gas station And everybody was trying to figure out why. And there was security footage that showed them get out of the car, and they walked all over around. It was some like sweet cherried out classic car. It turned out the gas cap, I think, was under the license plate or like inside the rear tail light or some obscure spot. And they couldn't figure out where it was. And so the guy got his car back. That was cool.
Okay, Sybil may have the humorous post of the day.
Oh, thank goodness. Wow, the show's only 12.7 megabytes.
If you first don't succeed, skydiving is not for you. Pretty good.
I'm pretty sure she was dropped on her head as a child. I'm just saying. Hey, did Kevin ever make? Oh yeah, Kevin's here. Duh, we were talking to him, weren't we? He doesn't make that big of an impression, I guess. That worked that time. I wish. Oh, maybe. I use a thing called ID3 Editor, and I can save tag data and load tag data. I can save the tag data and just shove it in, and it only works sometimes. And I think I just figured out that it only works in the NosillaCast. Might be a problem with the way I did the tag data. All right, now it's time to transmit this bad boy. You guys can just stay with me till the end. I know that's sad that I forgot about you, Kevin. Sorry. You usually make a big impression. Get it? Yeah, I get to have lunch with New York Linda, or dinner with New York Linda in May. Are you guys jealous? Wow. I like it when our internet speed is good. That was uploaded. So let's see. Quit that. I'm almost done posting the show. Quit Amadeus Pro. I should have let you guys watch. I don't save that. I don't think. Right? Let me make sure that's the right episode, just because I was talking.
Something just changed there.
What changed?
I don't know. In your audio, something just sounds different.
Really?
Not sure.
99% of all lawyers give the rest a bad name. No, I'm not going to be on the East Coast. Kevin, if I were on the East Coast, I would come see you. Linda is going to be on the West Coast. She is going to Hawaii for a month. How fun is that? All right. Don't save. All right. I should let you guys watch. I'm not that interesting right now, but my screen is interesting. All right, let's see. So I already created the file. It was probably more interesting a minute ago, but let's go find, let's see, we got this. So this, I don't think I've changed that. But maybe go ahead and send a blog just in case. And let's see, I think I've got a Chrome window open here. Let's go over here. Let's go into WordPress. And I've got, oh, that's not where I meant to go. It's the wiki I used to use. Oh, you're already in Hawaii. I did not know that. Oh, wow. So how much do you love it? All right. So I think I'm actually close to, let me preview this. Let me open up Feeder. Did a lot of work ahead of time, so I've got this ready. So I think if so this is Feeder here, and it actually looks a lot like Mars Edit, and that's kind of why I like it, is because it was really easy to switch over to using Mars Edit for my blog post. Fetch it from web, 13 megabytes. That doesn't look right. Hang on, I thought it was 17. No, 13 megabytes. Wow, that's a small show. Cool. All right, that is good. So this is ready. And let's see, does this look okay? Those all look pretty good. All right, we close the preview. We hit publish. And then as soon as that publishes, oh, Dan, good. You're good at Mars Edit. Good to know. My sister has a timeshare on an island that's overrun with wild chickens. Hope you're somewhere else in paradise. Yeah, George, you want to know why there's wild chickens? I know the answer to that. people in Hawaii like cockfighting. So there's a whole bunch of cockfighting there. They got the roosters. They had them all tied up outside. They keep them tied up outside, but they have them staked down, and they have like chains around their necks, and they keep them outdoors, and they've got to be far enough apart that they can't attack each other or anything, but they leave them outside. And when the hurricanes came through about, it's like 15, 20 years ago, they got ripped, the stakes came out of the ground, and all these chickens got loose, and they ran around and procreated like crazy. And that's why there's chickens everywhere. And actually there are chickens all over Kauai where she is. So.
And Linda points out not many, if any, predators.
Yeah, probably not. All right. I think I am ready to, so now I've got, save. Everything slowed down all of a sudden. That was weird. All right. So the blog post is up. So now I can publish. What's going on? Something funny's happening though.
I just turned off my backups.
Oh, thanks, dear. Actually, I should check mine. Mine are something really slowed down. Yeah. Mine are running too. Well, that'll throw things a monkey wrench, wouldn't it? Okay, but Feeder is just acting really weird. The publish button is not visible. I have to quit Feeder and reopen it. All right, my publish button is visible. That was weird. All right. I had to walk away. Is the show done? Yes, Mark, you missed it. It was amazing. It was an hour and a half long. Publishing complete. Okay, and then the next thing I do is I open up iTunes, which is the only thing I use iTunes for, is to see if the podcast came up. And let me go to NosillaCast podcast, and let me go here and refresh. With any luck, I remember to delete the previous show. There it's coming in. Actually, I wonder if you guys will be able to hear this. You should be able to hear it. Let's see. No, you can't.
No can hear.
Let's see. How would I make you guys be able to hear that? Wow, I got noise all of a sudden. System sound. Wow. I think if you guys, I'm not going to mess with it. Wow, all of a sudden I'm getting just all kinds of feedback here. I'm super loud, lots of noise. What happened? Do you hear that? All right, I'm going to finish sharing there.
I didn't hear it. What was it?
Okay, let me check it real quick. I don't know. All right, it's the right show, and it's 27 minutes long. And all of a sudden, my audio has gotten really strange. Let me quit. Yeah, wow, I have an iTunes open. I wonder if I'm getting system audio back in. That's probably it. All right, we are done. At 5:42, show's done. Got it done. We will have a real show probably, I think it's got to come out Friday morning. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Bart and I aren't recording till 1. Okay, I better record the rest of it early. Anyway, we will see you in 3 weeks. 1, 2, 3. 1. I don't know, whatever it is, May 8th. May 8th. There will be 3 missing ones. So that's 4 weeks, isn't it? Well, I'll miss you guys. If possible, we'll check in a couple weeks and at 5 o'clock and see if anybody's hanging out. Probably not. But anyway, just in case, it was nice to see all of you. So goodbye, everybody. Bye. Have fun in Hawaii, Linda. All right. Stopping NosillaCast. Goodbye, audio people. All right. And I'm going to stop the video now. Goodbye.